Millions face the impacts of everyday disasters, resulting from small-scale frequent threats, reflecting environmental, social, political and economic factors. Cities show these pressures in sharp relief.
Understanding what strengthens and what weakens resilience is the starting point for reducing the impact of threats on communities. If we understand that, then we know how to make countries resilient too. Our journey places communities at the centre of our thinking. Not only city communities, but towns and villages, in Africa, in Asia, wherever communities face the challenges of everyday disasters.
Communities face a wide range of threats. A recent frontline study in Latin America found that people identified threats of different origins, including floods, crime, drought, landslides, fires, disease and drug abuse. These threats don't just result from natural hazards, but are environmental, social, economic and political in origin.
La historia en Honduras dice que en los últimos 10 años murieron más de 40.000 personas, producto de la violencia. En el Mish murieron 5.000 personas. El problema aquí es que cuando tenés esos grandes desastres, podés mostrar de manera directa la magnitud del desastre. Pero cuando estamos hablando de que se están perdiendo 20 vidas cada día en un país, eso lo sentimos nosotros. Pero de repente, por estrategia de los gobiernos, que también tienen presiones, no muestran eso como desastre, sino se muestra como una persona que murió. Aquí creo que la cooperación tiene que abrir más los ojos.
The city of Limbe in Cameroon, West Africa, may be acutely conscious of the volcano overshadowing it, typically erupting on a 15-year cycle, with its last eruption in 2000. Nevertheless, people are more concerned from day to day with the challenges of housing being damaged and destroyed through landslips on the unstable slopes, which are the only land they can afford, and with frequent injuries and deaths on the chaotic roads. The threats they face have economic and social, as well as environmental and political origins.
This is the foundation of this house. Pyroclastic material from the volcano. This is the volcanic cone. And you see how friable it is. So when water gets into here, it just moves on that down slope.
Communities are often the first and only responders to many of these threats. The Indonesian village communities of Gempol and Blawong are faced with seasonal floods and landslides. They are learning to resist these threats through early warning systems and drills. They are adapting to the threat through organising reforestation to reduce the threat of landslips, and they are also working on transforming their local economy by promoting tourism so that there's less pressure for people to earn money from logging. The ability of communities to resist, adapt and transform reflects their degree of resilience, but communities on their own have only limited capacity to maintain and build resilience. Threats often result from underlying risk factors: badly managed industrialisation, poor land management, bad or poorly enforced planning laws, price volatility, extreme inequality and corrupt government, for example. In these villages, the economic pressures leading to deforestation are an underlying risk factor that can only be dealt with by change in the local economy. Change at the city level is needed too. In Limbe, the residents living on the unstable slopes have taken action themselves to try and prevent landslips by making terraces with old car tyres. Better defences using concrete are needed to stabilise the land, or even better, provision of safe building land.
In Tegucigalpa, changes in the decisions made by the City Council are needed for Nueva Suyapa to have better services and build better lives for the next generation. Underlying risk factors are often the negative consequences of development. Whilst inclusive development takes account of its effects on everyone, in many cases development only benefits one sector of the population, while increasing threats to the other sectors. This is seen clearly in the city, where building is often uncontrolled and slums sprawl in the shadow of high-rent high-rises. Roads are packed and drainage infrastructure is overloaded, increasing threats for everyone, but more so for those who can only afford to live in unsafe areas with poor services. The resilience circle shows the main factors which can lead to community resilience either increasing or decreasing. The community in Nueva Suyapa is affected by decisions taken at city and national level. Corruption is a major problem in the country, affecting its recovery and development after Hurricane Mitch, according to a World Bank study.
Nosotros tenemos aquí zonas casi abandonadas totalmente a causa de este desastre cotidiano de la violencia. Es un desastre, pero es un desastre porque la policía, por ejemplo, o todo el sistema de justicia fue penetrado por el crimen organizado y eso fue producto de la corrupción.
Uncontrolled development in Tegucigalpa leaves communities like Nueva Suyapa lacking safe building, roads, main services and education, and so they continue to face threats from floods, storms, disease and poor health, leading to unemployment, particularly among youth, and to social disintegration, increasing crime and addiction. This chain of events link the overall development path of Honduras to the threats faced in communities like Nueva Suyapa. Communities take action to reduce the impact of the threats through community mobilisation by community organisations and NGOs.
Y a pesar de no tener poder político, podemos incidir para que hayan cambios, porque representamos sin duda alguna la voz de la mayoría.
Similar stories can be told everywhere where communities face multiple threats, causing everyday disasters. In Java, communities can take action themselves to reduce the impact of threats, and through their partnership with the local NGO, they can work to promote tourism and change the underlying economic factors creating the threats. In Limbe, the community are uniting to press for change in the planning and management of housing, partnering with the local NGO to do so.
Communities are the starting point for understanding and building resilience. The ways they deal with the threats they face and what they and others can do to become resilient to these threats provide vital understanding for everyone. Their local risk knowledge is essential to understanding what makes communities resilient.